here with Phil White from Cervelo, and we're going to have a look at the raw material that is carbon and what it's turned into race bikes these days. He's got some materials, he's got lots of props that he's going to show us, and I suppose the best place to start is right at the beginning. What's the raw material that we use in carbon race frames these days?
Well, basically it's all carbon fiber. It all comes on spools. Just looks like the same thing you'd weave a rug out of. So that's a spool of carbon fiber.
Sure.
And all these pieces on it. That actual filament there, that's 3,000 filaments. So this is a 3K carbon fiber. And you can separate it out and kind of see all the little fibers.
Yeah.
Now each one of those is like a tenth the size of a human hair. So there's 3,000 of them in there.
Yeah.
And to turn that into a sheet of carbon, all you do is you line up a bunch of spools like this and feed them all together.
Yeah.
Run them through a bath of resin.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of sticky, and you put them on a piece of wax paper, and then you have a sheet of carbon with all the fibers running the same direction.
Right. Okay.
And that's your sheet of carbon fiber.
And that's where you get the sheet of carbon fiber from.
Right.
And so I presume that the way that you lay it up then affects the properties in quite a substantial way.
Yeah, actually, you've got a lot of variables to play with, which is great as an engineer, because we love playing with different things and trying to optimize it. The first thing is you got to figure out which material you want to use. So this is a high strength material, which means if you pull on it, it's really strong.
Here's a go. Yeah, no, it's unbreakable.
But if you, so it's very, very strong. It's not too stiff. If we wanted a really stiff fiber, which would be, make a lighter bike potentially, we have to get a different fiber. That's a high stiffness fiber. You see, it's actually a little more rigid there. And the problem with it is though that it's also not very strong. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
You can either have it high strength or high stiffness, but you can't have them both.
Okay.
So you have to use them selectively in each area of the frame that you're trying to achieve something in.
Sure.
So right behind the head tube, for instance, where you've got to worry about hitting something or a crash, you want to use a lot of that high strength material. And then on the sides, where you want to stiffen it up, you'd probably use this high stiffness fiber.
Sure. Is there an issue with putting these two different types of carbon in with the same resin? So if the resin that you're using, does that have an effect on the different types of carbon?
Not really. If we've got it now tuned so you use the same resin and you can kind of tune the properties, so that's not really a driver. What's more of a driver is actually the layup angles used. You have to make sure that the layup between one material and the other is compatible, so not one doesn't carry all the load and then break, and then you're left with a failed frame.
Of course. Yeah.
So
sure.
to illustrate that, we made up some little samples. So that's 2 strips of carbon fiber, same thickness, same material, they're just laid up differently. On this one, they're all laid up at plus or minus 45 like that. On this one, they're all laid up in one direction, 0 degrees.
Yeah.
And you can see that this one, 0 degrees, is really stiff.
Yeah, that's pretty stiff. I don't know whether you can see that.
And this one's the 45s. And you can see it's really flexing.
And so that's literally just the way that it's laid down.
Yeah, same material, same thickness, just different direction.
Yeah, sure. And so this gives you quite a lot of variables that you can play with when you're developing frames.
Absolutely, because we can use this material where we want stiffness in this direction, but then it's not very good for twisting. So it's pretty soft. And that one, try that one.
Yeah, no way.
It's really quite stiff.
So you put this in the areas where you want a lot of stiffness around the bottom bracket, the headset, that sort of area.
And you put a balance, because it changes throughout each tube, so there's a balance in each tube of what you want at one end of the tube for twisting versus bending is different from what you want at the other end, and you just have to tailor the layup as you go along the tube.
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting, but where does that take the next generation of frames? Is it then just a process of refining which materials go in which parts of the frame? Is that what you guys are doing now, or are there other areas that you're exploring to make frames stiffer and lighter using the same materials that we've got? Or are you adding new materials into this mix of carbons?
Well, there's a variety of new materials that we're always kind of trying out and seeing if they work. So in the latest RCA frame, we worked with 3M to develop a new resin system actually that is very, very good in impact it doesn't give up any properties in shear or in compression. And typically that's been the trade-off.
Yeah.
Because you get a really good impact material,
Yeah.
and it's not very difficult to make it. They've been doing this for quite a while, but it always had a trade-off that it gave something else away in other areas of the frame. So this time 3M developed this material, and we were just helping them develop it, and they came up with a fantastic material.
Yeah.
It has no downsides other than the price.
Yeah.
It's 7 times more than the regular
Yeah.
carbon fiber
Yeah.
material we're using.
Sure. So that's what it comes down to. It's what it's the resins and things like that. Have you got any other tricks in there that we could?
Something else we do at our California facility. I don't know if I showed you this before.
Yeah.
So that's the steering wheel off a Le Mans prototype.
Right.
So
And this, how long did it take to develop this?
we worked on with another company to develop it that
Right.
makes race cars.
Yeah, sure.
And so it was a cooperative development over several months, but it's you get everything on that wheel to control the car. So
Right, yeah.
it's pretty neat little.
It is,
It's a kit.
absolutely. And why would this be made of carbon as well? Purely for lightness in the car as well?
Lightweight and stiffness,
Yeah.
and it can easily be made very flexible.